Hello, hello, everybody. This is Josh.
Hi everyone, this is Marichen.
Welcome to another episode of Collector's Confessional, the pre-Record Store Day special.
I'm very excited for this. Today we're going to be going over some of our favorites from the list, talking about some of the more obscure things on the list, and of course some other music-related things along the way. We've tried to make this episode really fun for you guys. I don't know if you want to start off with some new music stuff or if you want to jump right into Record Store Day.
We can talk a little bit. Hayley Williams has now announced a tour for Pedals for Armor. Unfortunately, I cannot make any of the shows. None are nearby me, but fret not, she said this is only phase one, and she's actually going to have more. She basically confirmed that she's going to do more touring, which is really nice. But I kind of want to touch on, yes, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room right now, but the coronavirus issue right now. A lot of bands are canceling shows. There's a lot of, and I'm not going into the misinformation of everything, but it is very much touching the music industry because a lot of festivals are getting canceled because of this. And I recently read an article today that there was a Tool fan who went to Australia who was from Italy, and after the show, he tested positive for coronavirus.
Oh no. In Kentucky, we actually had our first case today in Lexington, and there's been a confirmed case in Nashville as well, which just got hit by that really awful tornado.
Oh,
so that's another whirlwind. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I have, and pardon the pun there.
Oh no, hey.
Hey,
it's all good.
It's all good. We love puns here, but there's a lot of artists who are donating to that. I know there was like a market that opened up for some people to get some food and things. There's, the venue that Paramore posed in front of when they announced After Laughter was destroyed. Taylor Swift donated $1 million to the relief efforts. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, especially because it touches the music industry, especially because it's Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville is huge for music, especially country music.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just completely devastating there right now. I have family and friends who live in the area, and they send pictures, and it's just so surreal. You just couldn't even imagine being there and living in it.
Especially because, well, I can say I have weather-related stuff here, but it's not as bad as, like, tornadoes. But we do get the occasional hurricane that comes through, and that's insanity on its own. But my street floods all the time, and it's kind of just part of where you live. You have your own kind of natural things that you have to deal with. You have earthquakes in California and the wildfires out there, and then Midwest has the tornadoes. We get them occasionally here too. Snowstorm. It's weather-related phenomenon. It's fun.
Oh, of course, yeah. That storm was actually supposed to hit where I live in Kentucky, and it went south into Nashville.
Thank goodness.
So
thank goodness you're
that
safe.
Could have been worse. Yeah.
But yeah, my thoughts are going to all those people and just all those people that are affected by the coronavirus and just all the chaos right now. Music can unite us, and that's why we're here. We're here to have a little bit of fun, but just to talk a couple things. Have you seen Taylor Swift's newest music video?
I have not.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it is crazy. It is.
Is it a video for a song she already has out?
The Man.
I'm so behind on Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's for her song The Man.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. You have to watch it, and then in the finale you need to kind of stay away from the trending of hers, which is kind of hard, especially because I follow Taylor Swift accounts. So I try not to retweet all that as much. And also, if you're listening to this, all of our socials, this is a perfect segue. All of our socials are down in the description below. If you're listening to this within the first hour when we're dropping it, this is critical time for us. Normally, it's amazing the response we've seen. Just some of the comments have started coming in. Just the viewership and the subscribers have just it's humbling, and it's really awesome that you are listening to this and supporting this. It really, truly does mean a lot. And if you listen to this in the first hour, please give it at least a like. You don't have to comment, But the like really, really does help. And if you are here for the very first time, hi, hello. This is our podcast all about music and fun stuff. If you like it, I'm not pressuring you. Go ahead and subscribe if you would like it. Me personally, I mean, yes, you have to kind of grow with subscriber count and everything. But sometimes I just hate that portion of, hey, do you want to subscribe? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that double-edged sword.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get people, in and then, oh, yeah, by the way, subscribe.
I get because, there are a bunch of channels that I support that I understand that first hour. So, and there's some channels to me, I could definitely see it being kind of a pushback where it's like, before you even get into the content of the video, if you like this content, please subscribe. Like, give me at least a little taste of what you're about before I decide.
Yeah, I don't want to be told right away I need to subscribe to your channel, because what if I don't like your channel?
Yes.
Ooh, that's mean. I'm being mean today, apparently.
No, it's all right to be mean on some things, but it really actually does help, at least the like in the first hour, because if you want to see this grow up a little bit more and, gain a little bit more traction, it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And that's the only reason why we ask that, is YouTube could be tripping sometimes when it comes to the algorithm. All right, so are we ready to talk about this thing called Record Store Day?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so for a brief for those newbies who do not know what Record Store Day is, this is a day to celebrate, records and local independently owned record stores. Now, that's not saying that every day you shouldn't go and support your local record stores. I mean, we already have close to 4 hours of content talking about supporting your local record stores. But this is
That's very true.
It is very true. But this is a day where you actually can celebrate your local record store. Not that you obviously shouldn't every day, but this is kind of a special celebration. It's a worldwide event. It's every third Saturday in April, and Black Friday, U.S. Black Friday, but that's more of a subdued one. This is the big, big celebration. And it's worldwide. There's actually a couple of things overall worldwide that I'd like to look at, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Essentially what this is there are special releases that are released on this day at your local independent record stores that you can only get at your local independent record stores. And every single one of the stores that are Record Store Day certified, quote unquote, they basically have to sign a pledge that they're not going to price gouge you, that it's meant for the celebration of the day. And some of these pieces are very, very, very limited. There's actually a piece, just as a mini spoiler, it's not on my list, but there's a piece that I had gotten from Record Store Day that's actually getting a repress. And normally, some people are like, why are you repressing it? The value. I'm the opposite. I'm actually very happy that this one particular piece, we'll get into that in just a little bit, is actually being repressed so people can actually have a chance to get it.
Yeah, definitely. I like whenever things get repressed, because then you have a chance at getting it instead of the limited 5,000 records that they press or whatever the limit is for that certain record.
And especially because this might be the last big Record Store Day that we know, especially because we talked about the Apollo Masters fire and we don't know what's going to happen. So, this list this year, in my opinion, is one of the better ones that we've seen in a long time. And it's going to be kind of bittersweet because we don't know what's going to be happening. There are about 407, I want to say, releases. And what's interesting is the list is always released about a month or so ahead. This was released yesterday. We're recording this on March the 6th. It was released on the 5th. So we gave each other a day to kind of just go over everything and just really think about what we'd want to get. And we'll go over that too. But we'll also go over tips and tricks on if you want to participate, how this all works. But for all the information, go down in the description below and look at the link for recordstoreday.com. It will take you to both a PDF version, and I would check that PDF version often because there are changes that happen all the time. For example, there was a pressing of one of my favorite movies, Sucker Punch, and I missed out on that soundtrack because I didn't know until the day of that it was pressed, and I didn't budget for it. So, quite unfortunate. So, my first tip is check the the list often. You don't have to do it every day, but I would check it at least once a week leading up to the big day.
Yeah, for sure, because it seems like there's always something new. And even when I briefly looked at it yesterday and when I looked at it more intently today, I feel like there were some changes. They added some things to it.
Yes.
So always check the list, especially whenever you're trying to budget how much you're going to spend and what you want versus what's a maybe versus what you know you don't want.
Exactly. So we had a fun little challenge for one another that we'll go over in just a second. But first, when you look at the Record Store Day list, it is broken up into 3 sections. Record Store Day exclusive, which means it's exclusive to only that day at your local independent record stores. You have the limited run regional focus, which inherently it makes sense with the name. They are very, very limited and regionally focused, not to be redundant. And then there's the Record Store Day First. Record Store Day First is one that it's a special version of this piece, but it may be released later on. But that does not necessarily mean it was pressed. For example, I have the Nationals Boxer Live in Brussels. That only has come out digitally and not a physical release as of this recording. So it doesn't necessarily mean that at first, it just means it'll come out on another format. So it really is up to you whether or not you want to take that gamble and, grab that Record Store Day First. A lot of years I've gotten Record Store Day First releases not caring. This is actually the first year where I think I only have one from the Record Store Day First releases that I want, which is kind of crazy.
Is it bad that I haven't even looked to see if mine are like Record Store Day First
Not
or
at
regional
all.
release or anything?
Not at all.
Like, I never check that. I am such a bad Record Store Day participant.
I'm just one of those people that overplans. For me, I grab the list and then I look through it. I look through it about 3 times and I kind of note down which ones I want and then I look again and again. And then I'll open up a Google Drive or a Google Sheets. Pardon me. And what I'll do is I'll put the title, the artist. I've recently added this, what section it's under, the quantity, the media type, which there are some picture discs on here. And we'll get into picture discs in a little bit. We've touched on them. But I have some thoughts on those. And then I show the quantity. I leave a place for pricing because there is a great way you can pre-budget. And we'll get into that a little bit later, just giving you a tease for what's coming up.
Yeah, no, that's like my favorite part is talking about the pricing. I love that. I can't wait to talk about that.
Me neither. That is actually, you got to spend your money. And actually, there's a way you can look at the releases that are coming out and you won't have sticker shock, which is great. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But other than that, I also give it a priority. If I do not have this in the next 10 years, will I be sad? So that's the kind of way I've been looking at this, or 5 years or 2 years from now. Will I care if I didn't get this piece? And believe it or not, I'm okay with not having that Sucker Punch soundtrack.
Yeah, hey, I kind of do mine the same way. And the only thing I do different is I have like a little note section where I can note what maybe is different about the album or something special about the album, just to put out there, just so I can remind myself, hey, this is like a live something that's not been released before. Do I want that over something that has been released before, but this is just a special edition of, so those are kind of things that help me weigh my choices and my ranking, I guess, for which is my top priority.
All right, so now we're actually going to get into our list, but before we do that, I have challenged my lovely co-host, and I've challenged myself. We are going to try and guess at least 3 that we think is going to be on the list. It doesn't necessarily have to be top want, but it has to be on the list. So, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm just going to say the artist because I was behind and forgot to look really deeply into this and kind of forgot about it until we started recording. So
it's all good.
I'm behind today. Whatever. So my 3 that I think are going to be on your list are, of course, My Chemical Romance, Tegan and Sarah, and Motorhead.
You are actually right. Motorhead is actually one that I've been kind of off and on about because it is a picture disc and it is a die cut.
Hmm.
And I know I could probably get the album for more, so that's going to probably be a day of. But my three guesses for you are Elton John, Alice Cooper, and Fleetwood Mac.
You got 2 out
Good.
of 3.
That is awesome.
The only one I don't have on there is the Fleetwood Mac. I usually don't go for the alternate takes of the albums.
Mhm.
That's just a personal preference, but I do like Fleetwood Mac, so you're not wrong there.
I also had MCR on there too. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So, I guess we could start with that. We could start talking about something that's probably both on our list, My Chemical Romance.
Yes, definitely on my list.
The Murder Scene, this was a live album before they put out The Black Parade is Dead, which I do have. That was a great pressing for Record Store Day.
Yes,
So,
I have that as well. I really like that album.
to me, it's not the definitive way to listen to it, but you get the B-sides. So it's like, it's fine to listen to it there because you get, Blood and then all the B-sides too. So it's kind of like the full package deal, especially because I don't have the Black Parade studio album. So
Oh, you don't?
I don't. So I know I need to eventually get it, but money, obviously. But the Murder Scene is a great early pre-Black Parade album. It's a bunch of live versions of some of their older songs. The cover is basically 3 cheers, but with actual people, and it looks like it's on a clear and red splatter.
Yes, and there are going to be 8,000 of these.
Yes, so not too tough, but the thing is with these, yes, they're going to be limited, but some of them are more limited than others, and there's been distribution problems already. So add that little bit of a curveball. Your store might only get 1, your store might get 5. So it really is tough, and that's why I recommend having alternative lists. So then that way, if there's that one main thing, I have basically one main thing I absolutely want. Everything else is fine. MCR, if they don't have it, I'll be fine with it. I like that one, but I prefer Black Parade is Dead. But if they have it, great.
I'd be upset if I didn't get a copy of that, if I'm being honest. I really, really like this live album. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm one of those people that like, oh, one of my favorite bands. I've got to have this, even though I don't have to have this.
Yeah. that's the plus and minus of Record Store Day. But I can go over another one on my list if you would like, and then you could go toss off to the next one for you.
Yeah,
the
go
next
ahead.
one for me is Nativity in Black. This is a Black Sabbath tribute album. And it is it's in 2 volumes. And what I really like about this is members of Black Sabbath actually participate in the covers. So you have Biohazard, White Zombie, Megadeth, Thousand Homo DJs, Ozzy Osbourne with Therapy, Corrosion of Conformity, Sepultura, Bowring Burmese, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden with Godspeed. I've listened to that one. That is amazing. War Pigs.
That sounds like a really cool release.
War Pigs by Faith No More, and Typo Negative doing Black Sabbath. I have listened to just part of this because I don't want to spoil it, because I've not heard this. But Megadeth's version of Paranoid, I literally there's moments of music euphoria that you have when you hear something so amazing. That was me when I heard that. I'm like, I have to have this. This is my... Yes, I said MCR earlier. Great, yes. But those two would be like, kill me if I don't have it. It's a 2 LP set. Only 2,500 are released. Now, when I go... I think I've talked about it before. I go super early, so I shouldn't have a problem if I'm within the first 10 people. But that one, I will cry if I don't have it. That is like my top want album. just because of, me, I love my metal music. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
host a weekly metal showcase on this 1,000+ member server, and it's a lot of fun. We do it every week, and I have to have this album. It's like, no question, this is my top want.
Yeah, my actual top want, you guessed, was Alice Cooper. It's live from the Apollo Theater in
Oh, yeah.
Glasgow on February 19th, 1982. Of course, this is his live performance. Obviously, it's a concert. He was performing during the Special Forces tour here, and it's got, a bunch of live performance from that concert date.
Yeah.
It's a double LP, and there are going to be 7,000 of these. Now, I usually go for the Alice Cooper releases because I like Alice Cooper. And, I've seen Alice Cooper live before, and I have a couple Alice Cooper live albums. So this technically isn't one that, like, I would die if I didn't have, but it is at the top of my list because I do love Alice Cooper. So I want it.
When I first looked at the list, I'm like, okay, Reagan will want Alice Cooper. Like, I equate Alice Cooper and Motley Crue to you.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's probably two of my favorites.
The next one for me is Warren Zevon's Greatest Hits, according to Judd Apatow. I haven't talked about Warren Zevon here before, and you're going to hear me clicking because I actually have some notes up here on my laptop. But Warren Zevon is one of my favorite artists that I'm learning about now. His most famous song is Werewolves of London.
Oh, yeah, I remember we talked about that.
Yes.
A while back.
Judd Apatow, producer director of Anchorman, 40 Year Old Virgin, Bridesmaids, many more. You know him. You either love his movies or you don't. I like a lot of his movies. Each yearly, he actually celebrates Warren Zevon's life at the Largo in Los Angeles, featuring a bunch of Zevon's friends. So, basically, he picked all the tracks that were his favorites from Warren Zevon, and then Something Bad Happened to a Clown from one of the tribute shows is on there. It doesn't have my favorite song, which is Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, but there's a lot on there, enough for me to want to buy this, especially because I don't have any Warren Zevon on wax. There was supposed to be one that was his very last album that was supposed to come out. I was about ready to hit pre-order on Bull Moose and not available in the U.S.
Oh, no.
So I've been waiting to get this. I'm going to get Excitable Boy at some point. But I love the cover. I love everything about this. It is out of 4,500. So mid-range about Nativity and Black, between Nativity and Black and Life on the, the Murder Scene. I always think of Life on the Murder Scene, but it's really the Murder Scene. That's just the way I have it marked on my iPod.
I think of it that way too. Like, I literally, when I was making out my list, I was like, Life of the Murder Scene. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's just the Murder Scene. I'm glad I'm not the only one to do that.
Guilty. But yeah, I'll let you go for your next one.
All right, since we've already talked about Elton John, I'm going to continue. Elton John is another one of my favorites. He's a classic. And this album is a self-titled album, which is a classic. It has Your Song, which is probably like his most well-known song, or one of his most well-known songs. I'm just going to put it out there. Everybody knows Your Song. And, I have a copy of this album. So originally I wasn't like too enthralled about it. But then when I really got to look into it and seeing it was a double LP, it's the 2016 remastered version of the album, and it's got some bonus tracks and other unreleased demos on it. So that made me really want it. And then I found out it was going to be pressed on transparent purple vinyl.
Oh.
And let me tell you, purple's my favorite color personally. So now I feel like I have to get this, and there are 7,000 of these, so this one's probably going to be one of the ones that might be a little easier to get, I guess, depending on how many diehard Elton John fans want to get this reissue.
Right, yeah.
But this one is also at the top of my list that if I don't get, I'm just probably going to cry.
I'm going to give you a guaranteed for my next one. This is a guaranteed get. Billie Eilish live at Third Man Records.
I almost guessed that one too.
This is out of 17,000.
Oh no, really?
17,000. Now, that does not mean anything. Pearl Jam pressed the MTV Unplugged for 10,000, and it's still hard to find now. But luckily, my shop got a shit ton of them. So
yeah, our shop got a lot of the Pearl Jam records too,
which I did pick up, and it is an amazing release. It's going for like $50 on the secondary market now.
Oh gosh, that doesn't surprise me though. I figured it'd be a lot more expensive than that.
It doesn't. Yeah. But I know I'm gonna at least be able to grab it. I know the people that got the hand paint splattered one are gonna be like, the price and everything. Dude, you got a hand paint splattered from Billie Eilish. You win.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Just let some of us people who couldn't go to the Third Man record store and not feasibly live near there get a chance to hear this, especially for us who sing high praise of this artist all the time.
Yeah, even living close to Third Man, it's still hard.
Yeah.
Because, I live about an hour and a half away, and it's still hard to get there.
I would like to go there, and I know I watched American Pickers go to this shop. I've watched so many things, and there's so much cool stuff at that shop. I don't even need to buy records. There's enough stuff to do in the shop that I'd spend a lot of money for, to be honest.
Yeah, the shop itself is just really cool because I know I'm going to get the most hate for this in the entire world, but I'm not a big Jack White fan. I know.
I am
shocking.
I'm not either. I'm not a fan of his music per se, but him as a person and what he's doing for music, that I'm a fan of.
Yes, I agree 100%. And my fiance Jared actually really likes Jack White, so we go in there whenever we're in Nashville. But I mean, it's always fun to just look at all the fun, slip mats and shirts and pins and buttons. I mean, there's just so much in the store that you just wouldn't even believe it until you walked in.
Tell me, is the thing where you can make your own wax guitar still there?
I believe it is.
Okay, because that is the main reason I want to go, is to make a guitar and then go into the photo booth and do old-fashioned photos.
Yeah, they still have the photo booth, good. I'm sure, too. Good. Yeah. They have, a different little recording room. I mean, they have so much in there that it's, hard to, take it all in. And I've been there several times, and I still feel like I've not gotten to, take in the full experience of Third Man.
But, I'm glad you and I agree. I do have one of the White Stripes albums. It was Get Behind Me Saying. It was the one that was the lenticular cover. I don't listen to it that often. I have to be in the mood for the White Stripes and everything, but it is a fun album to sit and listen to. So no hate towards Jack White. I'm just not a fan of the music. Like a mega die-hard fan, shut up. I can listen to his music, okay?
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Go ahead and go over your next one.
All right. So this one is one that I want to get, and I like this band, but I like one of the guest performers on here just as much, if not more. So I'm talking about the Def Leppard Rock and Roll Hall of Fame LP. This is their performance at their induction, whatever you want to call it, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And guys, okay, I'm a big Queen fan. Brian May plays with them.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I forgot that he played with them until I seen this, and I was like, oh yeah, he did play with them. And knowing that I'm a big Queen fan, I now, of course, have to get this in my collection. Yeah. There are going to be 4,000 of these, so this one's kind of limited. So I'm hoping I get it, but if I don't get it, I'm going to be searching the web for some way to get this in my collection. Because it's just a must for me.
The last one is a must for me only because, okay, so I was browsing the web, and this is just kind of a mini tangent. I was browsing the web, and I was looking at Record Store Day Australia's site because I was on needlesandgrooves.com. Wonderful forum site. Not affiliated with Steve Hoffman forums, but my friend helps run that site. It's a great, 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 great forum site if you are into music and everything. So they had said that I'm excited for the Opeth release, and I'm like, Opeth? So I hop on there, and son of a gun, they're getting Orchid on a repress. The U.S. is not getting that. So obviously I'm like, son of a... But have you heard of Like a Version? It's a series on YouTube.
I have.
They have
Yes.
Alex Leahy's version of Welcome to the Black Parade, and we're not getting it in the U.S. It is a Australia-only 7-inch. I am pissed.
Why?
I want that so badly. And my favorite band of all time, Tonight Alive, did Like a Version. You would have seen blood if that was pressed and not come to the U.S. I would have thrown a fit. So I'm debating on asking some people from Australia if they could pick it up, because I was asking, how much is shipping? Just because I know it'll be like, maybe the 7-inch will be like 10 Australia dollars or something. 7-inches are not too expensive. Some of them are like $20. I'd be willing to pay $20 for a physical version of Alex Leahy covering My Chemical Romance. But it's the shipping. Some of them cost $20 to get here, which isn't actually too bad. I thought it was going to be much more than that. But it's like I'll have to pay triple the price in just shipping to get it here. So that's the trade-off. I wish it was coming here. I'm mad that we're not going to get it here. And I'm also mad that one that I thought you would have wanted on the UK list didn't make it here, and the Elvis releases. That was UK only.
Yes, I seen that, and I was like, did I just like imagine seeing that when I was looking at those pictures?
Because we looked at a early UK Record Store Day leak that had, not leak, but just a list that had come out. And the Murder Scene was basically confirmed, which we were happy with. But I was like, I know you're going to want those Elvis releases. And I was looking, I'm like, where are the Elvis releases? Am I going crazy?
See, I thought the same thing. I thought I was like missing something. And I'm so gutted to find out that they're UK only. You know, I'm just going to move to the UK. Like, we're going to go flying.
We go fly out there, go get their stuff just for Record Store Day, fly back. I'll just grab my TARDIS and we'll go there.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just go. Hop on a plane.
Yeah. Not with coronavirus, but still. The last one on my list was a last-minute edition, and the reason why I went on the tangent for Like a Version, Denzel Curry's version of Bulls on Parade, which is... I'm going to get so much hate comments for this. This is my favorite version of Bulls on Parade. Is getting a 7-inch release. I love his version of it. To me, he puts I love Bulls on Parade, trust me. But just the energy and the tenacity and all of it made me love the song even more. And I think if a cover can do that, let's say, Chris Cornell's version of Billie Jean, for example. We could say Johnny Cash's version of Hurts. If it makes you love the song even more, I think it's okay to like it even more. This is a 7-inch that includes his cover of Bulls on Parade, but it's only of 2,500, so it's the same as the Nativity in Black. But I will not be mad if I can't get it. It'd be nice to have it, but I will not be mad.
Yeah, another one of mine that I'm really excited for is limited to 2,500 as well. And it is Skid Row's album, Slave to the Grind.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of Skid Row, and I actually only have one 7-inch of theirs on vinyl because you can't find their music on vinyl anywhere, because everyone that loves them already has their music on vinyl, more than likely. And
Exactly.
So this album is going to be pressed on a double LP on solid red vinyl. And guys, this is on vinyl for the first time in 29 years.
Yes.
But what makes this even better is it has 4 bonus tracks that are not on the original album.
Ooh.
So we all know I'm going to have to get that.
Yes. If I can make a suggestion for one for you.
Uh-huh.
Polaris, Songs from the Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Okay.
That is the one that I grabbed. That's the one I talked about earlier. It is one of my favorite shows as a kid. Hello, plane going over. Make it safe to the military base. If you're even picking that up. But I love this release, and it's a new release on a gatefold jacket with silver. Had I not gotten it the first time, that was one that I would have been completely bummed. I would have grabbed this. Let me grab the information on it real quick. But to me, it is one of my favorites. I don't play it that often because life. But when I saw it, I was like, for a moment, I was like, huh? They just released this? And I'm like, oh, and it is a limited run regional focus. It's only out of 1,000. It's on colored vinyl with a new gatefold sleeve, inserts in a CD of never before released demo tracks. That might be the only reason why I might grab it, because I already have it. But if all else fails, I'll just go and grab it. I didn't put down the price, and we're going to go into that after we go through our wants, but I can just grab the price easy. So that's one that I can suggest for you. But I have finished all of my main wants. I could go over my alternative list starting now if you want me to. If you want to continue on with yours, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one main want, and I have two that are kind of just, I might pick up. So, I mean, if you want to go ahead.
Because I have about 10 on my alternative list. So I'll go over a couple. My first one is Sweet Release, a benefit for Victoria Williams. This is just a bunch of bands doing covers of Victoria Williams songs. And one of them is early Pearl Jam covering one of their songs. And this is one of their most well-known covers. The reason why it's down there is just budget reasons. But I was very interested in it. It's out of 2,600. It's a 2 LP set. The next one for me is Tovlo or Tovlo. Oh, I'm going to be American. It's Tovlo. No, she pronounces it Tovlo, if you actually believe that. Adult words here, bikini porn. It's a 10-inch picture disc out of 3,000. But y'all, what is with the price on this one? It's $21 for a 10-inch for 2 songs. Come on, man.
Yeah, some of the prices this year I've seen are a little bit outrageous.
Yeah. The next one, you probably already guessed this one, is Dio's Annika.
Yes. I forgot they were pressing that one too.
It's a picture disc.
See, I had a bunch of easy guesses all in my head, and then when you're like, oh, do you have your guesses? And I'm like, no, I don't.
It's 3 songs, and then a spoken word live by Dio. So I love me some Ronnie James Dio. It's kind of on the fence of always being up there in the wants and not, just because it's a picture disc. It's out of 3,000, so it should be easy to come by. I'll go over a couple more. Ellie Goulding's Lights 10. It's a 2 LP set out of 4120. Why the hell? I guess my brain is like not getting the reference with that if I'm not seeing it. But I love Lights. It's a really good album. And it's on recycled vinyl. One I want to touch on that's not on my list is the Rolling Stones one. That is very limited. It's one of my favorite albums. I haven't picked it up yet, but I'll probably just pick up the normal release. The only reason why you might pick this up is it's hand-dipped. So what that means is every single release was handmade and is a unique piece of art.
Yeah, the Let It Bleed. I was interested in that. I have a copy of Let It Bleed on vinyl, and I was like, oh, this would be cool. They want $97.
That is actually my whole budget right there.
No.
I budget $100 baseline, and then if I do just, I want to spend around $100 on the day. That's my okay, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go over a couple more, and then I'll let you do a couple.
Okay.
John Lucidia and Danny Elfman, Army of Darkness soundtrack. I love, love, love soundtracks. This is 2 LP set out of 2000. Everybody's talking about this one. The only reason it's on here is because I know it, but not really. Space Hogs Resident Alien, 2 LP set out of 1350. I'm going to let other people who really want this grab it just because, but it interested me enough, blah, to warrant on the list. Tegan and Sarah, you were right. Tonight in the Dark, we're seeing colors out of 4,000. That's on my Switch list. And I'm going to leave my last two until after you share yours.
Okay, so the last on my I have to have list is a band called Best Coast. If you're not familiar, they're like a surf pop duo from California. And they actually had an album come out recently. And these are two songs that are unreleased from the album, Birthday and Sweetness. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, they're calling the 7-inch Thank You, which makes no sense because it's not the name of either of the songs. But I'm excited because I did really like their most recent album. So since these are two unreleased tracks from that album, I'm sure I will love it and be very excited about it. Mm-hmm. And there are 1,500 of these available. Mm-hmm. And one of my, if it's there, I'll get it kind of pickups. Since we're talking about the Rolling Stones, I'm going to go ahead and mention Metamorphosis UK, which is going to be pressed on a Hunter Green vinyl. And this is basically a bunch of outtakes, rarities, and demos. And the cool part about this is it comes with an iron-on that is the same as the album art, which is really cool because it's got really cool album art. Yeah, and there are 7,600 of these. I also originally had Let It Bleed on my list till I went to check the price and seen that they wanted $97 for that.
Did you see how much the Clutch box set was? The Clutch box set?
I did not.
It's close to $400.
Oh, my heart.
But it is a 15 LP set, so you're getting your money's worth if you go for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see paying that because that's, it's quite a lot of records there. 15 LP set. I mean, that's a pretty good deal, honestly.
15, yeah. The one that if I had the stupid money for, the CCR box set, you remember that one?
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had that one.
Yeah, that would have been a great piece.
Keep going, since I'll finish off on my two. I want you to finish off this list, and then we'll go over our pricing tips and tricks.
All right, so the last one that is on my maybe list is Eve 6, The Fly recorded live. Mm-hmm. And this is recordings for their 20th anniversary tour of their debut album. So it is basically the same track list as their debut album, but it's all recorded live from this 20th anniversary tour of their album Eve 6, which you probably know them from the song Inside Out. That was probably their biggest hit song. And there are only 1,200 of these. I'm not the biggest fan of Eve 6, so that's kind of why I'm putting it here, because I do like the album, but I also don't know if I want just a live version of the album, because I do have just the regular album on vinyl. So that's the last one on my maybe list.
Some people are going to laugh at me for this one. Surfer Blood Swim, the 10-year anniversary. It's out of 1,000. You could easily get it. It's just got bonus tracks. I like that album, but that's why it's on my alternative list, is I don't need to have it. The next one is Bastille's All This Bad Blood. I don't have that, so it might be nice to just grab it. That's out of 1,500. It's a 2 LP set. And then the last one, because I'm leaving off on this particular one for a reason, because I wanted to pull up the information. The soundtrack for Dune. It is out of 2000. It's a Record Store Day first release. It's the soundtrack to the David Lynch 1984 film, composed by Toto and Brian Eno. It's sourced from the master tapes on limited spice-colored vinyl. It also includes a 24x24 full-color poster, audiophile pressing at RTI, limited to 2,000 copies. And I keep seeing off and on that it might be signed, too. Like the poster is signed. But just a hearing, sourced from the master tapes, audiophile pressing, 24x24 poster. That ticks all the boxes for a Record Store Day release. And yet it's a Record Store Day first. That baffles me, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
It is actually one of only 2 that I have from Record Store Day first. Also, did you see the Batman and Robin soundtrack?
I did. I seen they had a bunch of soundtracks. I kind of laughed at the Austin Powers
I did
soundtracks because
too.
I don't know.
Some
I've never really gotten into the Austin Powers thing, and I was just like, okay.
I
But
know,
I guess if we have
yeah,
like, Baby Shark stuff and PJ Masks stuff going on, I guess
yeah.
that's not as bad,
I have some friends that are really excited for that, and I'm very happy for them. Also,
Yeah.
yeah, Rockabye Baby is coming out with their next one. So, Rockabye Baby, if you don't know what that is, it is lullaby covers of famous bands. So, Metallica, Pink Floyd, U2, Tool, Pearl Jam, Kanye
hmm
West. Yes, Kanye West.
Yeah, I just never got into those kind of things, like the kiddie releases.
Yeah,
But I guess if you have kids, I
yeah.
mean,
There was a dude who stood in front of me at the regular record store day when they released Transformers Dark of the Moon soundtrack. My store only got one copy. I asked the dude, hey, is there anything that you're looking for on the other side of the store? He grabbed Dark of the Moon for me. I grabbed what he wanted, and we traded off. That's my
there
first
you
tip.
go.
That's my first tip. Talk to the people in line. Talk what they're looking for, especially because the store I go to has 3 different rooms. The person in front of you could be grabbing what you want, and you could be heading off to the other direction to grab what they want. You meet up, you trade, you're out of there.
Yeah, that's kind of why I take my fiance Jared, because he helps me do that. He likes collecting as well, but the store we go to is kind of small. We go to 2 different ones usually, and the first one we go to, they have one aisle, and they have like both sides of the aisle have different record store day releases on them.
Ah, okay.
And usually I'll go down one side and he'll go down the other. So that way we can pick up things that we know each other are wanting. So that way, if there's only like 1 or 2 copies of something, we can get it essentially.
Yes.
So, take somebody with you, even if they're not really interested, which I'm thankful that Jared is interested in going to record store day with me because he gets out super early to go sit with me and wait. And not many people will be interested in doing that. But if you have somebody with you, they can also really help you look for releases too.
Yes, so our first tip is get there early. Now, there are some people, there's not something like Deja Entendu's, one that came out years and years ago that was like very limited. People camped out overnight. There's not any one of those like that. But don't be afraid to go early. For example, my store opens up at 8 in the morning. He hands out numbers at 5 in the morning. So I usually arrive there around 3:30 to 4 a.m. That's probably what I'm going to be doing there, is probably trying to leave as early as possible to make sure I grab that Black Sabbath release. But I've seen so much weather sitting in line. I've been in complete torrential downpours. Luckily, the place I go to where you could stand, luckily has a nice long roof where you could stand under the roof. I've been in the complete cold. So don't be afraid to go early, because the place I go to, they hand you out a number and you get free breakfast too. It is right next to a restaurant. Usually this is what happens. I don't think that's going to change. There's a free buffet breakfast with free coffee and free water, along with giveaways and free live music. So it's a big celebration day. Not, hey, Led Zeppelin reference. Huzzah.
Yeah, there you go. Another pun.
Okay. So the next thing is watch your budget, and there is a place you can go to called Bull Moose. Bullmoose.com is your friend.
It is. It really is, guys. I swear. When I first started getting into record store day and collecting records, everyone was telling me to go to Bull Moose, and I was like, what is that? Like, that's a weird name. I don't understand how it's related to records at all. And I go, I mean, guys, they have every release on their website and an estimate of how much it's going to be. And honestly, It's usually very, very close in what I pay for records. You know, there may be one that's $1 or $2 off, whether that's above or below the price that they have on there. But usually they're right on the money on prices. So
Exactly.
you can get a really good idea for what kind of budget you need to have or what kind of budget you want to have to get all the things that you're interested in getting on your list.
Exactly. And my next tip is write everything down and write the prices down. So, for example, all of those ones I just talked about in my main list, My Chemical Romance, Nativity in Black, Warren Zevon, Billie Eilish, and Denzel Curry. With all of my budgeting, I'm at $106.85, right at where I'm willing to pay. Now, that is retail before tax.
Yes.
But that is exactly right where I am willing to pay.
Yeah, totally. I have a little spreadsheet on Excel that I do all of mine like that too. I, lay it out really well and have prices of everything so that way I know what I'm looking at spending or what I want to look at spending. And everything's just kind of right there in easy access. I can pull it up on my phone because I have it on my Google Drive.
Yes.
So make sure if you have a list, you can either share it to your phone or write it in your notes or something somewhere where you can access it without just being on like your laptop or desktop computer.
Exactly. My next tip is day before. Make sure you get some sleep.
Yes.
Unless you're one of the crazies that camps out 12 hours before, you can get some sleep in line, but get a good night's sleep. Yes, it's fun to get up early, but get some sleep. They're records. I mean, we love it, but they're records.
Honestly, it makes the day so much better if you actually sleep. There have been a couple days where I've just been sleep deprived and like it's not as fun as when I'm actually like fully awake and ready. So yes, you want to get up early to kind of get there, but at the same time, you also want to make sure you get enough rest to where you're not grouchy.
Exactly.
Because nobody likes grouchy people.
Exactly. At all. My next tip is a minor one. For those people who are just there to help you and are not completely into the collecting, print out a list of what you're looking for and put the pictures of what you're looking for on that sheet of paper. That's what I've done. My mom usually comes and hangs out with me at Record Store Day. And that's what I do. We know how everything's laid out. I tell her which room to go in because my main focus is where my main one is, where I can grab the most on my list, and then she can go somewhere else. Print out the ones you want. So then that way they can look at it and say, okay, so this is the Tegan and Sarah. This is the Billie Eilish. This is the Warren Zevon. This is the Ronnie James Dio. This is the Space Hog. So they know exactly what you're looking for. And it also helps to know the layout of your store.
Yes, definitely get familiar with your local record store because each store is different. Even the two that I go to on Record Store Day, they're very different from each other and how they lay things out. Like I mentioned, the first one that I go to has one aisle and everything's just kind of front to back on those aisles. The other store I go to, he has different stuff in different bins all throughout the store. So he clears out some of his normal stock and just dedicates a few bins on each side for Record Store Day releases, and you kind of have to go and hunt through stuff. There's usually a mix of things. There's some stuff he has hanging on the wall, some stuff, just here and there. So you really kind of have to figure out the layout of your store, and usually you can kind of hop in line when you first get in there and just like go through all of the little bins because you're waiting in line forever anyway, so it kind of works out.
Yeah. For example, my store, Vinyl Days Records in Virginia Beach. Shout out to that wonderful store. Martin and you and your staff are always wonderful to me. Shout out to you guys. You first walk into the store, it's basically the Z of like mainstream rock. So it's there. There's a room to the right of it that's the world music. So like, if anything that might be in there, maybe the Victoria Williams will be in that area. Like the world type of music. Then there's the mainline rock, which is up on the higher shelves. Very rarely is it on the lower shelves. The other room is metal, soundtracks, country, and all the 7 inches that he puts down on a table. So, in order for me to maximize, I'm looking at what I want. The My Chemical Romance is probably going to be in the rock section. The Billie Eilish is going to be in the rock section. Warren Zevon's probably going to be there. So, the Tiffany in Black, the Denzel Curry, and the Bulls on Parade, oh, that's the same one, are probably going to be in that other room. So I'm already thinking ahead of where it actually might be because I've been there so many times enough to know where everything kind of is going to be. The next tip I have, do you have anything else to add?
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to say, ask your owner or the people working at the record store because they know where things are at. So if you say, hey, do you have a copy of blah, 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 they'll know where that's at and they'll be able to help you find it a lot quicker than if you just try and scour through the whole store.
And they'll actually be able to hop in between and be like, hey, can you grab me that for? And then they'll bring it over to you.
Yeah, exactly.
The next one actually goes to the owners. Don't be afraid to call ahead and let them know what you're interested in. They cannot put holds on anything. They cannot hold it back for online sale. But what you can do is let them know what you're interested in so they know which titles to order.
Yes, and in the case of my record store, they actually put a post on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter asking people what their most want records are. Like, what do you want the most wanted? That's the word I was looking for.
That's what my store did. I actually was messaging them and they're like, you can't hold back. And I said, yeah. And I apologized if I ever came across like that. And then they posted it on Facebook and I'm like, okay, never mind then. And I posted it and then Martin liked it. So they know what I want now, which is great.
Yeah. I usually never post on those things what I want just because I feel like they're going to get what they're getting no matter how many they try and order. So I just kind of all take it in strides. I'm a little more laid back when it comes to going. If I see it and I can grab it and I want it, I'm going to get it. But if I don't get it at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world because the world still goes round.
Exactly. Just as reference, going back to our budget, if I wanted everything on my list, I cut it down from $700 to $388. That's huge. A couple of the other ones, Collective Soul, Skid Row, Judas Priest, Fight. Those were kind of ones that I was on the fence about. But after looking at them, I'm like, do I really want this? Because I got bit by the first Judas Priest, the Coke bottle has a nice big old scratch on the side. I've been meaning to email Record Store Day about it, but at the end of the day, I've already spent the money on it. I'm not sure how much they can do. But I'm like, I'll get a Judas Priest, but I'll get an original pressing Judas Priest.
I completely understand that.
I mean, I like you guys, but I probably, unless it's a super special limited one, it's British steel that's being pressed. I could easily get that. I can get it on CD. So I'm looking more for those ones that I really like. The Tavlo one. I would probably really, really like that, but it's a picture disc. And picture discs can actually vary in quality. But I'm going to be silly. Yes, I want the Billie Eilish one. I like her, but end of the day, I can actually chunk that and then switch it out for maybe the Dune soundtrack.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of is on the day too, what you're feeling. You could like it now and then just be like, for example, the Wren's release. I was on the fence that day to get it. I'm glad I have it. I've only listened to it once. So I should go back and listen to it because we have lives, we're busy. But I'm glad I have it. But sometimes it's just you're caught up in the moment and maybe I actually might want that Surfer Blood over something else. Don't be afraid to have fun. Don't be like, okay, this is my budget. This is my budget. This is my budget. This is what I want. Have some fluidity and fun during that day. That's my next tip.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be ridiculously awful and you're not supposed to get frustrated. You're supposed to have fun and get to talk about music.
Yes.
And that's one thing I've kind of had to learn as I go on. I definitely like getting there early and being one of the first people in line to ensure I can get what I'm really wanting.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you can't let yourself get upset over not getting a release because it's not worth it.
And I've noticed some people that continuously come year after year. So I might not know them directly by name, but it's like, hey, how's it going? And you catch up for like 20 or so minutes. See how life has been. That's the fun of it. It's the community aspect. You're asking what everybody wants, because ultimately you can actually help each other get those things, especially in my case, because what I wanted was right there and there was only one copy and the dude was going to get ahead of me. And luckily, I had asked right where the other one that he had wanted was. So I'm like, let me see if I can cut this guy a deal. We both will win at this point. And
There you go.
And the reason why I wanted, despite it being a first release, Transformers Dark of the Moon, it is the only way that I can physically afford getting Monster on vinyl. Monster by Paramore. Because the only other way is on a $200 7-inch box set. And I don't got that kind of money.
Yeah, no, me either.
So that's why I really, really, really wanted it. And it's actually one of my favorite soundtracks. And I've also noticed something too. Why do the crappiest movies always have the best soundtracks?
I know. I've noticed that too. Like movies that I'm just like, okay. And, there have been a few movies that I really enjoyed that have a really good soundtrack, too. Mm-hmm. So.
There's what was a couple of the other kind of funky ones. Mortal Kombat soundtrack. Lethal Weapon soundtrack. Bull Moose also can get sometimes international releases. So if Bull Moose is your store, great. But they also, the Monday after, put their surplus online. So if you miss out... Don't be afraid to check Bull Moose, because guess what? The scalpers may have gotten it, but Bull Moose might have surplus. And you win.
Yes. I always try and not go ahead of myself, because my first thought, if I don't get something I'm really, really wanting on Record Store Day, is to scour eBay and Discogs and wait for somebody to post it. And, they'll want triple, if not quadruple, the value of the record. And you always get burned. So I've learned to wait till Monday to see if Bull Moose has it. And if Bull Moose doesn't have it, then I'll start looking at possibly getting a copy. Yeah. But Bull Moose is your best friend, because they don't price gouge you.
No, and I'm hoping and waiting that Chris over at Bull Moose might actually start posting videos.
Yes, he usually posts videos with the Record Store Day releases, and I've not seen any of those yet, but I'm excited to see, because he always makes me want things that I never wanted. So I hate watching those videos, but at the same time, I love watching those videos.
Another one, just because I'm looking through the list here on Bull Moose, that was kind of like there. Oh, sorry, Clutch was only $218. Sorry. That's actually a more reasonable price, but that's a pretty good price for however many is in that set.
Yeah, okay. That's more affordable.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 21 overall discs. It's 6 double LPs, 3 12-inch LPs, and 3 picture discs. Turntable mat and a square artist signed lithograph with a magnetic closure.
Bad.
That is cool. That is actually probably, in terms of what's cool, in my opinion, one of the coolest releases.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. It's got a lot of parts to it.
Yeah, I like the Bowie ones, but I'm not a huge Bowie fan myself.
Mm-hmm. I just don't see the need in those, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Bowie and I like his studio stuff, but honestly, I don't see the need in having either of those albums. I kind of looked into them, but I'm like, they're not something I'm going to die if I don't get.
Yeah. I know there's a Guar release, a Dinosaur Jr. release. I'm just kind of going over the list now. My old podcast, we actually went over every single item. So I'm just popping the ones that kind of come to mind. Dr. John, rest in peace, is getting that. Of course, Eminem, My Name Is. Bad Guys Always, 7-inch. If you don't have it, that's a great way to get it. Emerson, Lake at Palmer, Live at Waterloo. That's another one. We've already talked about the Fight one. There's a couple from the... we're getting at least one, a few dollars more, from like the Fistful of Dollars, the Man with No Name. I have a couple of friends that are really excited for the Gorillaz, ones that are coming out. So I'm happy for them. Let's see what else. Hackers
There's
soundtrack.
some Post Malone stuff coming out. I know that everyone's excited for, which I'm not a big Post Malone fan, but
hey,
I know people are excited about that.
Coolio.
And there's also a Ramones live release, which I usually get the Ramones releases, but I don't need another Ramones live album. I believe it's Alive 2 or something. I can't remember the name of it. It's Live 2 or something like that. And I mean, it's probably a good album, but I already have a few live albums from them. I really honestly don't need more. It's the Ramones. I mean, it's punk music. You can only hear punk music live so many different ways.
Yeah. The only one I would actually get every single time, because each show is different, is Pearl Jam live. That's probably one that I would buy like every single live version ever. There's one that I just found, Heart of Batman. The soundtrack from Batman, the Animated Series documentary. Heart of Batman hails makeup and vanity set, best known for soundtrack work on podcast. So basically, this is about the Batman animated series. And it's a 3-disc set, apparently. That's cool. Not on my want list, but cool. Live Hootie and the Blowfish. If you're a Hootie fan, you got to grab it. One thing that I found cool was the shape of the Ice Nine Kills. It is a buzzsaw. Now, we already know Judas Priest did it first, and Judas Priest did it best because it's blue. Don't at me. But it's pretty cool the way they did that.
Yeah, I actually seen that, and I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm not interested in it. But, I mean, that's kind of a cool release if you are.
Exactly, yeah. My friend's asking how the podcast went. We're doing it right now, so I'm going to message you while we're doing this. The one that was kind of an early on once is the Land of Sensations and Delights. So do you know what that is?
I do not.
Okay, so do you know who the Turtles are?
Yes.
This is basically a compilation featuring alternative 60s hits and rarities from the catalog of Los Angeles White Whale label. And basically, so when the Turtles came out, they were just trying to throw artists at the wall to see if they can get another hit. This guy scoured different places to try and get the 45s so that this compilation can be put on wax. That on story alone, it might actually creep back up in my list. It's only $28, which is not bad. I might put that back on my list. I'm not sure. My list changes from day to day, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, mine doesn't really change that much usually, unless there's something that comes out that I'm really interested in. But for the most part, mine stays the same, although I have added some over the years after they update the list.
Yeah, we finally got Nativity in Black on Bull Moose. I waited a couple of days to get a confirmation on the price so I can make sure that I have everything. We talked about... did we talk about the Paul McCartney release?
We did not. I forgot about the Paul McCartney
The Paul McCartney.
Release.
So this was his self-titled album. This is a half-speed remaster cut by Miles Scholl at Abbey Road without digital limiting for the best possible reproduction.
I bet that record's going to sound fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love McCartney. I only know a couple of his songs. Sorry, McCartney fans. It's just me. But if you really, really want this, grab it.
For sure. I'm not a big fan of, like, the Beatles solo stuff. Like, I mean, I've listened to some of the solo stuff from all the Beatles, but if I'm going to listen to them, I'd rather just listen to, like, the Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
Maybe that's an unpopular opinion.
I like a couple of McCartney's things. I definitely love George Harrison.
Yeah, for sure. George Harrison has a lot of great stuff. I mean, John Lennon had some great stuff as well. I think they all had, you know, some great songs. But if I am in the mood for the Beatles, I just want to listen to the Beatles.
Yeah. Let's see what else is here. I'm checking bullmoose.com because it got updated. We already talked about Tegan and Sarah. If you go on their Facebook, it's like a purple splatter, like a light purple splatter. and this is like a live album that they did a bunch of their new and old songs. Finally, I got confirmation on the Black Keys Let's Rock 45 RPM cut. I thought that wasn't on the list, so it's their most recent album, 180 gram, 2 LP set, and a deluxe holographic gatefold jacket, and each piece is individually numbered.
Yeah, Jared's excited about that when he showed me the little Instagram video they did of making the jackets and stuff. And I was like, that's going to be on his list for sure. Yeah, you'll have to go to the Black Keys Instagram account and look at it. The holographic album art is actually really cool. I will give it that.
Yeah. Black Crowes, Jealous Again. We have 2 Cure picture discs. Now, I heard that the greatest hits and the greatest hits acoustic are probably 2 of the best sounding picture discs out there. So even if the Cure puts out on a picture disc, you know they're going to go for the highest quality possible.
There you go.
We also have the Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. Now, if it had been the original Dark Crystal, you bet your ass that would have been top of my list. Like, I would have literally beat people. No, I'm kidding. I would not assault people, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you really would want that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, this looks like they're 2 different, I guess, pieces from that. Like if it was the OG Dark Crystal, because I have Labyrinth. Non-Record Store Day, the release, it's really good. That's if you pick one Jim Henson soundtrack to go off of, that is non-Muppets, get the Labyrinth soundtrack. It is David Bowie doing his best for that movie. Excuse me. There's also the Kinks Chronicles that I kind of have my eye on. Not really, because it's a greatest hits. I only have one of the Kinks, so I like greatest hits when it is I don't have everything. And when you do it right, I'm glad to have greatest hits.
Yes, exactly.
Notorious B.I.G. is a whole like box set, but it's stuff that's already out there that's easy. This is for people who don't have and kind of want just to grab everything. Now here's
exactly.
One. The Perfect Circle. Is that a perfect circle or the perfect circle? No new information on that, so I'll be keeping an eye on that as the days go on. I'm just seeing there's like TLC, Toto, some other stuff that's on there that's kind of interesting. U2, I'm not a huge U2 fan, but there is a U2 release. And there's also the Vitamin String Quartet performing Lana Del Rey. That should be a fun one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure right there.
During Black Friday Record Store Day, it was Vitamin String Quartet performs Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, yeah, I remember that being out there.
And then finally, the X-Files soundtrack.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one, and I remember seeing people going crazy over that one too.
I'm gonna have to look into that Perfect Circle, but that's pretty much the list. A lot of good stuff, a lot of questionable stuff as always, but in my opinion, it's one of the stronger lists that we've seen in a long time. There's pretty much something for everybody. Of course, you're gonna have your questionable stuff. I mean, I loved Asking Alexandria. But I ultimately didn't make my list. There's some August Burns Reds. Go online again to therecordstoreday.com. The recordstoreday.com website. I forgot to add that. And just check it. Check it and then go to Bull Moose and start budgeting.
Yep. There's a lot of releases on there. There's literally something for everyone. So even if it's not mentioned here, it could be there. So just go check the list.
Yes. I'm seeing if there's any more here to just mention, but there's something for everybody to be excited about, and that makes me excited because, well, I might not be excited about a particular release or know that much. There's somebody out there that's going, I have to have this, which is the best part of Record Store Day. Because, like we said, there's something for everybody.
Yep, everyone can get something that they enjoy.
So we are filming this pre my record store day video, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be releasing one as well.
Yes, hopefully sometime this next week. I haven't filmed it yet, but I need to.
We're filming this on Friday night. I'm going to be filming it Saturday and hopefully getting it up on Saturday. It probably will be released by the time you're watching this. If not, mine will be released at least some point the weekend you're listening to this.
Yeah, mine is hopefully going to be released sometime during the week next week if I can get it filmed this weekend. Mm-hmm. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And fingers crossed we don't add anything to our lists.
Yeah, that too.
That's the problem with this. It's like, you know what? I'll probably go off of that White Whale Records one. I'll probably do that one. Because early on when I was looking at like the ones that were kind of confirmed and leaked out, that was a high mark one for me. And I don't know why it dropped off. Maybe it was because Warren Zevon. I don't know. But it's, you know, there's only so and so much money that you can have. And there's only so and so much that you can listen to.
Yeah, that's true.
So it might be on my list. It might not. I'll see in about a month. But what I'm most interested in is the post record store day stories. I know we're going to be recording in between there, but I think the aftermath, especially because I love hearing your video and what happened, we could go into much more detail here of what happened, this and that. Was there a painful person? Was there this or that pain point here or there? So it's not a complaining one. It's just this was our day. So I am really looking forward to that one. Because this is going to be just as fun because we have our expectations now, and then we're going to see were those expectations met, and if so, how.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Record Store Day. I always love talking about Record Store Day on my channel, so
me too.
I'm very excited to discuss it here as well because I don't get to talk about it enough.
Exactly.
Funny.
But that video I always put out for Record Store Day is usually the one that does the best on my channel.
Yeah, my Record Store Day videos usually do really good too. Better than most of my videos.
So this, hopefully by putting the Record Store Day logo on our video, it might boost our thing a bit. Not holding out hope, but that might help with people coming to listen.
Hopefully.
And if you are a new listener and you're still this far in, thank you so very much. And we hope you stay for more content. We obviously have a lot more planned. I'm going to announce here there's a bunch of stuff I have planned for my channel, including live streaming. So I am super excited for that. I'm going to be doing my top 100 albums of all time. That's going to be a fun series. I'm still going to do my 6 records, 6 thoughts, but it might move to 7 now because I put record dividers in my cabinet. So it might be 7 records, 7 thoughts now, which is kind of crazy. And, of course, there is one more that I have planned. And this was from a conversation with a friend. It is looking at the best rock album by the Grammys from the very start until this past recent year, one video for about the year, and whether or not I agree with who won. What my one was, I reveal what was what won that year, and we'll see if we agree or not. So that one should be really fun.
I feel like I would pick the album that didn't win, as I tend to like the smaller rock bands that no one ever talks about and gives love to.
There's a couple.
Or the ones that just get robbed.
There's a couple on there that got robbed that I have a lot to say on. Just you wait. Because I still cannot believe that Hey Soul Sister is believed to be better than Still Into You.
I don't get that.
I am still salty about Paramore being snubbed on live TV because Hey Soul Sister won over that. And guess what? They won their Grammy, but it was during the live stream that nobody got to see. Can you tell I'm a little salty at the Grammys?
I honestly don't even watch award shows anymore
Me
just
neither.
because, like, it's never anything I'm interested in. Like, they always pick, like, the stupidest one to win. And I mean, I don't mean it in a bad, derogatory way, but, like, things that I'm not interested in always end up winning. And
Yeah.
I just ain't about that life. I want to see the people I love get recognized.
Well, here's the thing. Here's one I'm not even mad about. Paramore lost to Adele for Best New Artist.
Okay, yeah.
I ain't even mad about that one because Adele is really good.
Very true.
Like, that's one I'm not even salty about because if the artist is. I don't know everything of Adele. I'm not a huge fan. But I recognize that she has an absolutely fantastic voice and an ear for songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And I hugely respect her, even though I don't listen to her all the time. That's one that I was like, okay, I'm willing to stomach that one because it's a female artist, first of all, that's getting celebrated. And
Mm-hmm.
two, one that has now kind of gone on to do something really good, along with Paramore. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for also non-record store day related. I had to cancel my pre-order for Gigaton, unfortunately, because yay for $5,000 of insulation blown in my attic because of critters. But I forced myself to keep Pedals for Armor. I got the 10-inch box set, and I'm really excited for that. So that's post-record store day. So there's always something coming out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always looking forward to a new record coming out. So,
Yeah, you know what? It would have been really funny is if after all that chaos and all the stuff I told you about, the beautiful letdown, the half blue, half clear. Wouldn't that have been the shit if that was a record store day release?
I mean, you would have been super happy about that. I'm sure other people would have been too.
No, I actually would have been super pissed because, like, I had that on pre-order and you're doing it for record store day? What? But I would have been happy too. I would have been like that perfect mix of, you're going to hear me rant, I'm going to have to go yell halfway across the room, your ears are going to bleed, which is what we don't want at all.
No, preferably not.
Especially because I'm trying to sound mix this. Hopefully it sounds better this time. We're still trying to work out all the kinks and the quirks of all this. I don't know everything about OBS. I'm trying my best. We're trying our best here. But the thing is, this is just for fun. So hopefully you hear us better this time.
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like I'm not talking loud enough, but, like, at the same time, I also just don't want to yell.
Oh, well, I'm checking the levels on here. You sound fine. I mean, I hear you pretty loud in my ear. I always want to say
good.
ear sickles or ear holes, but I feel like that was a Drake and Josh moment there. Shout out.
Yeah, that's been a long time.
There's a deep reference, Drake and Josh. But yeah, I think we're pretty much done here. I don't think I have anything much to say on Record Store Day. Do you?
No, I'm good.
This is actually one of my favorites to record. Back when I had my old podcast that unfortunately went defunct and morphed into this wonderful podcast, one of my favorite episodes was going over the entire Record Store Day list and the thoughts on it. Me and my co-host would actually pull up the list and read every single release. Because some people, they don't know about it. Maybe they just want to hear our smooth voices talking about it. But it was a lot of fun, but I like this version of it a little bit better. Because it's condensed, we could talk about exactly what we want. And, it's a lot of fun. I'm having truly a great time recording this with you.
Yeah, exactly. I really love doing these. I honestly couldn't imagine sitting here going over the entire list because there's so much stuff that I wasn't interested in. That's just like, how do you talk about something that you don't really know a lot about? Like, gosh, I'd rather talk about stuff I'm really excited about.
Well, what had happened is we would break it into chunks. Like, somebody would talk about maybe like the first 20 and then switch off to the next 20 and this. And we would just either read the title and then if we knew a little bit about it, talk about it. But I think that got boring after a while. So I think this is kind of the new format to go to. And what I'm really interested in is to see where we go from here.
Mm-hmm.
The Apollo Masters fire has happened. We do have Black Friday Record Store Day coming up. I don't think that'll be impacted, but we might see a lot more of like the Rolling Stones repress next year. We might
Uh-huh.
see, I don't know, some of these soundtracks get repressed again. Some of the repressings of certain things. So maybe like a picture disc version of the Dune soundtrack. I don't know, but watch, I'll be right about that. Or like a picture disc version of Billie Eilish live. I don't know, but to me, this might be the last true record store day. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but it
Mm-hmm.
might be a long time before we see something kind of crazy, kind of quirky with some things, mainly because we
Mm-hmm.
don't know how many lacquers were left and how much of that technology is left before we have to move to direct metal mastering or lathe cutting or anything like that. So we're still enjoying Record Store Day. We always will. I'm sure there's going to be another Record Store Day next year. It might be a
Oh
little more,
yeah,
there's going to be subdued, but it might be more of like the repress on the repress on the repress. But who knows?
that's also true.
Well, I think we are good to wrap up here. Do you have any final thoughts?
I am good.
I am good as well. As I always say at the end of everything that I am in, when the waters get rough, please, please, please keep on sailing. Even if you feel like no one believes in you, I believe in you. And I know, Marichen, you believe in our lovely listeners as well.
Yes, of course.
I've had some rough times in the past where I know I just needed that little bit of a light to tell me that everything was going to be okay. Even if I didn't believe it at the time, it was still nice to have the gesture. I've recently reconnected with a friend of mine who I went to middle school with, and we're talking heavily again. And she moved back into the area. I'm not going to say names here, but we're starting to talk almost every day now, and it's like refreshing because we only used to like send each other messages every like once a year. So even then, it was still nice messages, and it was those kind of messages that was like positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wishing you well, even if you are having a good time or a bad time. I'm just